Oh, and it is live. Welcome, body odor sufferers. This is another Friday night interview. Every Friday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have an interview for anyone who has PATM, TMAU, or anything else. In this particular interview, I am speaking to a woman named Tanisha Crofton. How are you?
I am good, and how are you?
I'm doing I'm doing okay. Life could be better, but I don't want to rant on how bad my life is. But for you, Tanisha, how old are you?
I am 43.
You're 43, and where are you located at the moment?
I'm in Michigan.
You're located in Michigan. Now the most important question is, how did this all start for you? What was the
Oh.
first experience having a body odor or bad breath problem?
I don't have bad breath. It would be body odor and maybe TMAU. I would say maybe like around 6 years old. Well, if I think back, I remember my aunt, I was standing close to her and she was like sitting down and we were talking and she goes, "You stink."
Wow.
Yeah, and because like you just go back, you go back further as you can, as far as you can go, and you just kind of think like that was the very first instance I remember, someone saying that to me. I
And
remember
you
her
said
saying,
at the age of 6 years old?
"Yes."
Hmm, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And what about you? Like your did so that was only like your aunt. What about your like your mother? Like where was this? Was this in like some type of family gathering or?
No, we lived all in the same house, and I just was next to, talking to her, and that's what she said. It might have been 7, it might have been 8, but I know I was really young.
Hmm.
And my mother, she never, I would ask her, she always would say, "No, you don't, like you don't smell to me." Ask my sister, and she'd be like, "You smell like laundry detergent." Um,
Hmm.
my kids, I have 4 kids, and the two oldest, was like, "No, you don't smell." My daughter always says, "You smell, like gum and cool water, and leather." Like those were her memories of me. My one son says he can't smell. The other one says, "I don't really notice anything." And my little one, if I ask him sometimes, he'll be like, "Yeah, you do."
Hmm.
And and my husband, he's just like, "I don't even know what you're talking about. You're crazy. You don't smell to me." But he has family members who have made comments, and so it's a thing, just not to the people who can't smell it.
So you're okay. So your husband's family members make comments about it. Is your husband aware of this?
You know what? He says he doesn't know anything about it. He says he says I don't smell anything. So who cares what anybody says? They just got problems. That's what he says.
And is it like your husband's like cousins or aunts or like?
Brothers, yeah, just brothers and his
Hmm.
brothers, yeah.
Because I would think he would confront his own brother about it, and or
Well, they don't just, come out and say, "Hey, blah, 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 you are this way." They'll
right.
make it's like, no one's going to say it straightforward to you because, you'll say something back to them.
So I'm going to assume that you just don't really like going to family gatherings like Thanksgiving or, like Christmas and stuff.
You would be correct.
Yeah, yeah. Because for me, that's the same way with me. It's like I remember the last time I went to Christmas. I just didn't like going to the Christmas Eve or just Christmas parties because, it's one thing. I don't think my family members smell me, but sometimes they might bring around their girlfriends or significant others, and I guess they just have the senses to pick up on the odor. So I'm just less inclined to even be around them. So it sort of feels whack because I feel like I should like Christmas, but I
Yeah.
don't because of this odor. How do you feel about the situation? Do you still enjoy like holidays like Christmas and Thanksgiving?
I mean, I don't really celebrate them just because, it's not a thing for me. Just because I never really did with my mother kind of growing up because she was like abusive. So, not really a big deal to me. I would notice that I have a time limit. My time limit would be about 2.5 to 2 hours, and then it's like, you got to go. You can't stay for too much longer.
Right.
Or because, like, then, you know what I mean? And you start to sweat, and then it's just like things start seeping out of your pores, and, it's time to go.
Let me ask you this: do you feel like you have hyperhidrosis?
I believe I used to at a point in time. I think that it's getting somewhat better because I don't sweat like I used to.
Mm. And do you feel like it was just is because maybe your health or you're taking certain supplements or it just stopped becoming so severe?
Well, I was recently, well, not recently, but maybe about 6 months ago, diagnosed with H. pylori, and
Mm,
I had antibodies attacking my thyroid. So they're saying, it could turn into Hashimoto's. So, you could clean up your eating habits. This is something that you could reverse or put into remission. But since that, I've noticed like my sweating has been reduced. And if I stay away from salt and sugar.
if you stay away from salt and sugar, your sweating is not going to be as significant.
Correct. And certain types of meat. If I'm eating, because beef will make me super greasy. Like, it'll look like an oil slick. Like if my hands are dry, I could wipe my face with my hands and, be lotioned up and be, okay looking. But if I
Mm.
eat beef that is not grass fed and, hormone, steroid free and antibiotic free, I will sweat. I will smell horrific. It's a horrible smell. But I just had liver. I went to a farmer's market and I got liver because I'm also anemic. And I got liver from a farmer's market and I ate that and I thought, ooh, tomorrow I'm going to be horrible. Guess what? Nothing.
And this was
And,
organic or
well,
grass fed?
it was from the farmer's market. It's organic, it's grass fed, there's no hormones, there's no steroids. So, it's just free to roam as if it used to. Um, and I do notice too, like I eat pasteurized organic eggs. They're called Vital Farms. I eat those. Guess what? I'm not stinky and gross either.
You know,
And
it's
for me, you know what I think it is? For me, I think it's the chemicals.
yeah. I think for the past week, recently, I've been reading some posts about some people saying they have like gluten allergies. I actually read from a last interview. There was a comment that said from a woman. She said that gluten. She found out that gluten was making her smell bad. And then recently, I read a post on Facebook talking about somebody had gluten allergies, and that might be the contributing factor to the why they smell. So then I started looking up gluten, and I realized that gluten is in a lot of things. It's in a lot of processed meats. It's
Yes.
in a lot of it's in a lot of sweets. It's in a lot of breads. So when people always talk about, oh, stay away from processed foods, stay away from meat, stay away from sweets, I noticed that gluten is in a lot of those things. And I don't know if you took the U-biome test, but for me, I
No.
took the U-biome test and I found out that I don't really have good gluten. I think I have gluten intolerance or gluten sensitivity. So my thinking is maybe gluten is the problem because I know also noticed that when I talk to other people through the interview, I find out that they can't really digest dairy either, or they have a problem with dairy as well.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
so I don't know if that's the same situation with you, but if it is, I will find that it's too much of a coincidence for that to
I
happen.
do. I do have a problem with gluten as well. I don't really eat bread. Some rices, they'll make my face swell, and like bread. When I eat, certain bread, I'll smell like bread, and that's who wants to smell like yeast? I have a problem with soy. I have a problem with condiments, dairy of any kind. But I was eating goat cheese a couple of times, and I noticed, wow, I didn't really have that issue. Wheat, like you said, bread, cereal, sugar. I was drinking pop this week, and the next, I could just smell it. You know what I mean? I could just smell it.
Right.
Um, I can't really eat oranges. I can't really eat
You
bananas.
can't eat oranges, really.
I can eat them, but you know what? I'm gonna get a smell. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
I eat grapefruits instead. Same thing with bananas and same thing with grapes, just because they have such a high sugar content. Um,
Hmm.
and then I used to work out, mind you, like because we were talking a little bit earlier. I would work out, and because I want to be in shape as well. And I would notice if I paired weightlifting with cardio, I would smell horrific. I would smell like ammonia. It would be like a smell that I just couldn't get off me. But if I broke them up, I would smell amazing. I would smell just beautiful. But what I noticed is I could not pair those two together. I'd have to break them up because if I did cardio and weights, right after the other, either one, I would stink horribly.
So if you did cardio and weights at the same time, but if you did cardio one day and then weights another day, you're not going
Oh
to
no,
smell
you
it.
could do them. You could do them in the same day, but you just can't pair them up. I couldn't pair them up.
Hmm. So I know with me, always use cardio to like sweat out the odor. I felt like if I sweat out the toxins, I'll smell less. And after like if I sweat and then after take a bath, I'll smell less as compared to just not, doing any type of cardio activity at all. Do you have the same, have you noticed the same thing or is it different for you?
Well, I mean, yeah, I do notice that, but also too, I was taking triple leaf super slimming tea. Don't advise people to do this on the regular. It's a tea, it's a laxative, but instead of using one tea bag, I would use two. When I would do that, the smell would just dissipate. So I figured it's something within my intestines, and I was like, well, is it SIBO? You know, some
You
type
said,
of.
what is the tea called?
It's called triple leaf super slimming tea.
Is that the
It's
stuff that they promote on Instagram, like tummy
uh,
tuck tea or some stuff like?
I don't know if it's that. I buy this at like the local health food store,
Mm,
and I use two tea bags instead of one. And when you do this, you will notice a significant difference the next day. Um, and I mean, you can go out and you can be around people and you can get close because I thought it was maybe just something within my intestines. You know,
hmm
talking about other things that we can't eat, like I can't even eat corn. And some seeds. Sometimes I would notice it, and I would also notice, certain scents, perfumes or lotions would, also make me, smell worse.
Hmm. So, so taking that laxative type tea made you smell less.
Yeah,
Or
and
do
if
you think
and
just
if you
like the
would,
laxatives in general just would do the same effect? Have you
mm,
noticed that?
that's the only laxative I've ever taken in my life, so I don't really know.
Mm. Hmm. Okay, because that is interesting. I know like one of the types of methods to try to like if someone who has TMAU knew they ate something really bad, what they would do is take a whole bunch of laxatives. So
Mm,
it's not going to stay in their gut. It's immediately going to get executed, exited out their, well, their holes, and they're not going to smell as much. So maybe that's what's basically happening for you. Like when you drink that laxative, it's not going to stay in your gut for long, so it's not going to ferment and therefore make such a bad odor. At
right.
least that's how I see it. Um, but it is very interesting that you say like fruits and stuff like oranges and bananas and stuff. So
And grapes,
I was
grape.
going to ask you, yeah, have you went to the gastroenterologist and try to see if you have any malabsorption issues?
I have not. I just recently switched doctors. I have an appointment coming up next Thursday, and we're gonna go from there. She's a new doctor. So yeah, just because also too, like I was diagnosed with H. pylori as well, and they wanted me to take a whole bunch of antibiotics, like I think it was two at a time, and then they wanted me to take an antacid, and I was like, well, won't you wipe out my good bacteria? And then the antacid, I won't be able to digest my food correctly. It seems like it wouldn't work. So I just found when searching on my own and found mastic gum. So I just take two mastic gums in the morning before I eat, and I mean all my symptoms are going away. And I also
Really?
yeah, and I eat sauerkraut. Because like you would have pain and you would eat sauerkraut, it would take it away. But I get local, organic, in a glass jar sauerkraut, and also I use eat kimchi and broccoli sprouts are awesome. Greens, burro bananas. They're like from the Dominican Republic or any Caribbean place. Tons of water. You would think, wow, distilled water would be a good thing, but you don't want to drink distilled water. It could be dangerous because it doesn't have any minerals. So,
Hmm.
stick to you want to stick to spring water and not too much of the sink water.
So do you feel like natural, not natural water, but tap water makes you smell?
God, tap water makes me feel nauseous.
Mm. I also want to, look at some questions from the chat. I know, okay, Dan finally got a job. Congratulations, Dan, for getting a job. But he also asked a question: does she have bad breath?
No, I do not. I started to do sea moss, Irish sea moss, just because like I would think like, does my breath stink? Just, you'd wake up in the morning like I brush my teeth at night and why is my breath stinking in the morning? So I started to take sea moss and that promotes, good smelling breath and my breath does not smell bad.
Mm. Do you have a white coated tongue?
I used to, but I switched up my eating habits. I kind of start doing a little bit of keto, but I cheat all the time. And
Right.
once I switched up to keto, I don't think I was doing it correctly just because I was like, I'd see a couple of, posts and I'd be like, well, I know what to do. And I did have that. Once I started to do that, bam, my tongue is back to a good color.
Yeah, and I'm glad. I mean, I just want to go back to that mastic gum because I did have a conversation. Well, I won't say a conversation, maybe a message with Bruce Leroy, and he was telling me something about mastic gum that he was going to consider to try. I don't know what's like. What is the effects of the mastic gum? What is it supposed to do? What is it?
I think
Um,
it, I can't really recall, but I do believe like it stops the H. pylori from drilling holes into your stomach and making, causing ulcers. And
oh,
I think it kind of coats your stomach and intestines as well.
oh, that's interesting.
And you can
Okay,
also
so it's used to
you can get
combat H. pylori.
right, and you can also and ulcers, and you can also use it to Oh, I'm so sorry. What was I gonna say? Forgot what I was gonna say. Well, but nevertheless, though, I don't remember. But I do pair it with sauerkraut and broccoli sprouts. I mean, broccoli sprouts are awesome. You don't want to get any other sprouts. You need broccoli sprouts. Those are great.
Well, I do have some couple of questions from the chat, and Marcus299 asks, has she tried the spit test for Candida?
No, just because I feel like I'm handling it on my own.
Hmm. And another question is from Harden54 is what is the name of the mastic gum she mentioned?
I believe it's Solar.
Solar. Did you get it from Amazon?
No, I got it from my local health food store.
Maybe I could find it on Amazon.
You
Uh,
can, you can. But what I've noticed is you want to go to a reputable health food store because I went to another store. It's kind of like more commercialized, if you want to say. I
hmm
went there and I was like, wow, they have mastic gum. It looked exactly the same, but the little safety cap was a different thing. And I started to take that one and I did not feel the same. Um, I could go home and look later, but someone could email me and ask me, and I could, take a picture and show them what it was and who manufactures it or whatnot. Because I think it comes from a different spot, and I think there's one actual difference in the ingredients. I think the capsule's made with something else. It doesn't agree with me.
Let me share my screen for a second. Are you talking about this Solar Ray mastic gum?
Yeah. Oh, nope. Well, it kind of looks. Hold on one second. Yep, it is. Yep, that's it.
Okay, so that's what you're talking about. Let me stop it. Oop. Okay. Okay, so it's the solar ray mastic gun. Maybe I should put that in chat so if people want to look at it or possibly buy it.
But
Um,
if anyone has H. pylori, like I said, they also want to consume sauerkraut, and you want to get some sauerkraut that's made locally. That's in a glass jar. That's organic. That's at a health food store. You do not want anything that's in a can. And also, you want to get broccoli sprouts.
broccoli
they'll
sprouts.
be yeah. Broccoli sprouts are awesome. You'll want to eat those, every day, every day.
And I do want to go back a little. Well, let me first read some. I know there's some comments or questions in the chat. Yeah, one from Dan Dam asking you, what does your odor smell like?
Gosh, it would be different things at different times. Also, too, like around when I'm ovulating or my period. I remember when I would work out, I'd smell like ammonia. Um,
Mm-hmm.
or like if I'm eating bread, I'd smell like bread yeasty. Um,
Mm.
to me, I smell sometimes like just sweet shit sometimes.
Sweet shit.
Um,
Interesting.
or I'd smell like matches. Um, or like to me, sometimes just like sewer. And I remember when I first started dating with my husband, we were dating. I remember we were out and I was like, I wanted to go in the house and I wanted to brush my teeth. And I came out after I was done brushing my teeth and he goes, "Did you throw up?" So
Hmm.
I guess to him, I smelled like throw up, but I would notice I had a certain reaction to certain toothpaste and certain chemicals that do not agree with my body. I can't,
Wow.
yeah. So I would notice, a lot of chemicals do not agree well with me. I'd brush my teeth and I would get like this white, I could just like rub the inside of my cheek and you'd see like all this just white, slimy looking stuff. I would have to use a certain toothpaste. Like I would use Mentadent or I would use Glycer by Amway. And I wouldn't have those same issues. But if I go out and get Crest or Colgate, and I, like I wipe the inside of my mouth or it comes out. It's just like what the, it's a reaction that I can't tolerate. It's a chemical.
Hmm. I did want to go back to your early days. So you said the first time you recall someone ever mentioning you smell was when you were 6 years old. How was it like in middle school, high school, maybe even elementary school? Was it the same way, or like when did it like really start picking up?
High school, I remember, a couple of girls would make comments. Guys didn't seem to mind. I have tons of boyfriends, and still are friends with them. Um, Girls would say things,
Right.
like little tiny comments like, "Oh my God, she fucking stinks," or they would say like, "Oh my God, did someone fart?" I remember that one, and guys never really said anything, like never really, noticed anything. I did notice when I started to work as I got older, just because that was a really stressful time. Um, just because I had moved here, it was very hectic, and it was under bad circumstances. And I remember a lady saying like, "Oh gosh, like she smells," and then I think she went and talked to a supervisor. No one ever said anything to me. I kept my job. I worked at the Social Security office, and I kept it for a while. Um,
Mm,
and just maybe a couple years ago, I was working, and my boss, you know, we were fine. She would come over to my house. We'd talk. We would hang, work out together. And one time, we were talking just fine, and a coworker came in. She was my boss, and I was assistant manager. And he came in, and he spoke to us, and then me and him were like, we had a really good, talking relationship. And she came in, and she seen us talking, and I think it upset her somehow. And so she just started to turn on me and just started, making comments like, "I'm going to go home and take a bath. I'm going to,"
mm,
and then he kind of looked at her like, "What the heck is going on? Like, I just, kind of heard you guys talking. Why did you turn on her like this?" And,
right.
pretty much assume why she did it. But, it's like, oh, okay, it's something that you knew, but you just kind of ignored it.
Hmm. I do want to ask you this, like, since you say you're 43 years old and you had it when you were, or at least you started noticing it when you were six, or just recall it when you were six,
Mm-hmm.
like, I would think in that high school time, I don't think the internet was really that there was available with any information, or was it even, I don't know what year with this was like, what year was it when you were in high school?
Oh, wow. 90s?
In the 90s. Okay, so I don't even think
Nope.
the internet was really, really basic. So I'm thinking to myself, like, what were you trying, how were you trying to research things? Like, what did you think how to resolve this issue? Because once you get these comments like, "Oh, it smells like shit," or from like female
Burning
viewers,
matches.
like, what did you try to do?
I didn't try shit. I just was living my life. You know what I mean? I just was like, oh, you know what I mean? That's your problem. Because, to me, I didn't really notice anything. Not until I started to get older that I noticed things. And it was just like, hmm, and like I said, it was only females who would make the comment. Men would not make comments at all. Um,
Mm,
because how men are, like they, probably don't smell anything. Um, and it was just mostly women. So sometimes I chalked it up to jealousy just because it was, mostly women. Just well, all women. It was just all women.
within that, like, I guess you just had more men friends than female friends.
Yep.
Hmm. That's interesting. I mean, oh, and also within the comments, someone asked, Scorpion Tiger asks, is your odor under control now?
You know what? I've been eating bad, so because this is like my time to eat bad, so I can get it under control. Like I said, I can do good. Um, I can do good. And like I said, if I go out, I have like like a time limit, like a maybe 2.5, 2 hours. And then
Right,
after that, it's like, ooh, I kind of wonder. And then I'll notice it'll be really low. So, I can put like a little bit of distance so people don't be like, oh my God. But I can go out and do things. But there are times that I just kind of get like anxious, like, oh my God,
right,
what's going to happen to me? Is everybody going to notice it? So maybe I should just freaking leave or not even come out.
right. Because it seems like it seems like you're having, I don't know, it seems like you're having a good life, but maybe you still feel like you're isolated. Do you feel isolated? That's a
I
question I wanted.
don't feel isolated just because I grew up with like not caring people in my life. So to be alone to me is not a bad thing. But I also have 4 children. I have my husband. I have family that I talk to still. I have friends that I talk to still. They're just not in the same state.
Mm-hmm.
Video chat. So, I made my life. I just didn't put too much emphasis on what people were, telling me how they felt or what they smelled, because that's great for you. And like I said to you earlier, if you don't fucking like it, don't fucking breathe. There's
Right.
your, you know what I mean? Because I'm still going to live my life. Like, I'm still going to eat certain foods that I know are good for me. Like, I'm not going to give up choline just because it offends you. Like, what the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm not going to do that. I'm still going to eat healthy. I'm still going to do what I need to do. And I do it.
Hmm. That's a very interesting attitude. Because I know with me is like, I mean, I try to at certain points in my life, I was like, I don't give a fuck. There's like some moments
Right.
where I just don't care. But at the moment, like, yeah, I do care because I do want to, I always have this fear of job discrimination, or I have this fear of,
Tell
if I'm
them,
trying to,
I tell people,
yeah, I
hey,
tell people too, like,
I
but
tell you right off, I'd be like, hey, you know what? I got this. Because I just say to me, I'm not a doctor. I haven't been diagnosed, but I just say, this is what it is. Sometimes it's worse than others. If I'm ovulating, bam, it could be worse than others depending on what I eat. Not trying to offend you, but this is what it is.
right.
Hey, you know what I mean? And then you got a fucking problem. You got a fucking problem. But I'm still going to be here.
Mm. So you never had any type of fear of job discrimination or people trying to fire you for no reason?
Never. Nope.
Mm. I was gonna say something. You just um oh yeah, yeah. So at what point then you started like learning about TMAU and then you started connecting or feeling like you might have that? Like, do you know the year or the age you were in where you discovered the name TMAU and then you said, maybe I might have that.
5, 6 years ago.
Oh, 5, 6 years ago. Wow.
Yep. Because I didn't really care what people thought. I just would, like I said, I lived my life. I still go to movies. That I would still go into clubs. I would still go out and we eat, go to restaurants. I still would do my thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm. And you said you're 43, so that means it was 6 years ago. That was 37.
Correct. So like around there. Yep.
Hmm. And I'm curious, are you inclined to possibly get tested, or you just don't care?
I don't really. I mean, because it's like, oh, you know what I mean? It's something that I'm constantly chasing. I need a diagnosis. I need a diagnosis. If I get that diagnosis, where the fuck do I go from there? I know
Right.
how, pretty much get it under control. I just have, impulse control issues. Like when I'm ovulating and my period's about to come on, I need sweet, I need salty. I know I shouldn't eat them, but this is what I need. And I know how long it's going to last, and I know what to do to get it out of my body. Sometimes it's not completely gone because I'm not doing exactly everything that I'm supposed to do, just because I still want to maintain some normalcy, in my life. Like I want to, like last week, my kids had to go to a birthday party, family birthday party, because it's a pretty fairly big family. I mean, I ate, there was rice, there were beans, there was chicken, there was salad, and there was cake, and there was pop. I ate it
Yeah.
all. Later on that night, we went to the movies. I had popcorn and pop. Did I smell the next day? Yes. Am I still kind of smelling? I kind of just was like, let's just continue it on the week. Because if I'm stinking, let it already stink. I'll clean up my diet starting Monday, and start eating those foods that have natural probiotics in them. Because like I would notice, my stomach would get a little bit puffy.
Right.
And when I would eat the sauerkraut, when I would eat the kimchi, when I would eat healthy, wow, I don't even need to do a sit up or any cardio, because guess what? My stomach is flat because all that, probably the overgrowth of bacteria in there, is being eaten by the probiotic foods that I'm consuming.
Yeah, I used to try to just use natural probiotics like sauerkraut. I've heard of kefir, but I stopped using kefir because I think that's when I started realizing I think like the milk or whatever just
Yeah.
doesn't work with my body, and I started using sauerkraut less because I know sauerkraut has a very sour, pungent, vinegary smell. So I naturally thought to myself, maybe that's
Don't eat a lot.
probably
You
gonna
just
give out on my
eat
skin
one
or
big,
something like that.
eat one big forkful. That's it. You don't need like a bowl of it. Just eat one big forkful. And then if you want to later on during the day, you want to eat some kimchi, eat some kimchi.
I'm sorry. Um, so you don't try like probiotic supplements or anything like that.
No, they're ridiculous. They made me stink more.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
They made me stink like I would be like, oh my God, where's that coming from? It's coming from my intestines. You know what I mean? So that's what it was. And why continue that?
Hmm. Well, I do have a. I don't know if she's going to answer that question, but there's a couple of questions on the chat. One from Marcus, and he asks, "Does she have a problem with neighbors?"
You know what? I don't know if I have a problem with neighbors. I just know that the lady next door hates me, but her husband is a very disrespectful person because he's always staring and watching. He's somewhat of a pervert. So I think maybe it could be. I know that she
Perverts
really
in the neighborhood.
Yeah, I know that she hates me. It's obvious, but her husband doesn't hate me. So I don't know if he doesn't, you know what I mean? So I don't really know. And I don't talk to them.
Hmm. So that's the only neighbor that's right next to you, or are you in like an apartment complex, or?
Yep, I'm in a town. It's townhomes, and there's another lady next to me. She's barely there, so I don't. Maybe she notices it because some foods that I cook are kind of pungent sometimes. So maybe she kind of notices the food smell more than what she would notice me.
Okay. 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 I know another question from Scorpion Tiger is, well, she says, my question is, how does everyone deal with smelling and working?
It's difficult. You need to just be upfront with people. Like if you can get a group of people together, tell them what it is. Give a speech of what that you have, and not trying to disrespect anybody or offend anybody. But this is what it is, and this is what I have. And this is something I can't control. This is a metabolic disorder, and my bad.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because that's the thing with me. Like for all the interviews I do, I just tell them straight up, hey, I have this TMAU thing. I don't even think I really have TMAU, but I just say that because that's the only recognizable thing.
Right.
That's a metabolic disorder that has something to do with the liver. So I just say that shit. Um, and I'll just say that. But I still notice like the people I already talked to about it. I still notice they like react to me and stuff like that, and I have to like
Okay. So
ignore them and so on and
here,
so forth. And
don't
that's
care because you've
annoying.
already told them. Don't care because you've already told them. What are you gonna do? Keep repeating yourself?
Right, right.
Make
That
business
too.
cards, make business cards and give them out. Don't put your name on it. Make a business card. Here you go. Because I even thought of that.
Make a
Like,
business card and say you have
yeah,
TMAO.
yep. And then guess what? You can go look it up online if you really are interested. You know what I mean? Like, seriously. Like, I
That
don't, yeah, don't have time to baby everybody with it.
that is definitely an idea I never considered. Um,
You can ask inappropriate questions. It doesn't matter because I know you were saying, I don't know if she'll answer it. It doesn't matter.
well, a question from Dan is, how much does she weigh?
I am 165.
Okay. And enough, and I think that's all the questions. Um, what was going to say? So, all right, so yeah, like we were talking about with TMAL, that you're like, okay, even if I did get tested, what's the point? Like, what's the next step? Um, my thing is, what was going to ask you about that? Um, have you ever considered like, have you ever looked into like the TMAL pill that's supposed to come out in like 2020? And do
I
you
did
think,
not. I'll wait for other people to take it because I don't want to be a guinea pig. Um,
right?
I'll see how how it works because I was thinking about what is it when the people like they put their feces inside of pills and then people swallow it like a fecal transplant or fecal.
Oh, yeah, fecal transplant is, I don't think they swallow it. I think they just put it in their colon.
Oh,
Um,
okay, I was actually thinking about that. I think that would be more, because it's like you're almost injecting a healthy, bacteria colony into your intestines, and that would overtake the bad ones. Considering that for some odd reason we can't just get rid of the bad bacteria in there.
right. I don't think it's only really just like a bad bacteria. I think it just has like something to do with our just liver not being able to break down certain foods or certain compounds. So even if we do get a healthy dose of bacteria, it's injected into us. Since our liver is still fucked up, it's like I don't think it's going to completely fix everything at all.
Well, we need to be taking dandelion root. We need to be doing, like organic liver cleanses. You need to take a half of squeezed of lemon juice. You need some horseradish root powder, and you need some garlic, and you need to do it. You need to swallow it preferably with a straw. But I mean, I was doing that, and I would notice, wow, I felt awesome. But oh, and cayenne pepper mixed with that as well. I got that off of an African holistic. African Holistic book, and I actually did the Candida cleanse as well. A lot of pills to take. I mean, but I fucking felt amazing. It's by Dr. Layla Ali or Dr. Africa.
So I'm glad you're talking about liver cleanse because some people have certain results that they have mixed results. But for you, you say that liver cleanses actually made you feel good.
Yeah.
And did it also relieve your odor? Did you get less reactions, so on and so forth?
Really notice too much of a difference with that. Like I said, I noticed the difference with the laxatives, just getting the
Hmm.
out of my body. Um, because I was going to this one store and everybody was like raving about their meats. And I'm like, yeah, I don't really think it's that great because when I eat that beef and I wake up the next morning, I mean, it looks like someone just put baby oil on my face. I could chalk it up
Hmm.
to all the hormones and the steroids in it, but I mean, it is horrible for me, you know? Um, so no, I don't think that liver cleanse did anything for me. It does make me feel better. Like sometimes I'll wake up in the morning and I'll boil water and then maybe like maybe 16 ounces, and then I'll squeeze like a lime or a lemon in it, and I'll drink it. I mean, you feel awesome, just because you're kind of getting to your liver as well, and that water gets into you, and you feel awesome. And I usually won't eat breakfast with that, and and then go from there. And you want to have a whole day of good holistic organic fruits and vegetables and meat if you can, and spring water, and you want to eat good. Mind you, you will feel better if you're working out, but it's just really it's taxing. You just miss regular things because
Right.
it's not what we're used to. And
Yeah.
by the way, I had a horrible diet growing up. Horrible diet.
So now, do you have like a vegetarian diet most of the time?
You know what? I did the Dr. Sabi one a while ago, and that's when I was working out too. I mean, God, I was in great shape, had an awesome physique, but I still think I was a little bit stinky. I would ask people, like, am I? They'd be like, no. And I'd be, just because it's always in my head. Um, and they would say no, but I mean, I felt awesome.
Hmm. And I'm glad you're talking about beef and stuff like that because I do want to ask you, is there different types of meats that make you smell bad? Do you feel like there's certain meats that don't really make you smell bad? Because I know a lot of people choose chicken as like their primary source of protein if they're going to eat any meat. Uh,
I don't like the way the chicken looks today. It looks like it's been layered. Something's wrong with the chicken. I'm looking into going to the farmer's market and getting, the organic, no soy chicken, whatever, no hormones or antibiotics or whatever the heck they put in them. I would love to try that because I notice just sometimes like when I eat meat, but I do like a smell test just because it's always in my head. I can smell myself, and I can do things like
right.
stay in a room for a certain amount of time, walk away, come back. That's what you smell like. Put your nose up in certain things, if you're flexible, do that. Do a rub test, you know what I mean? Or just do anything.
Right.
Um, but I do notice, certain foods do make me stink. Like I said, the beef is the grocery market beef is what makes me smell horrific. It's horrible. I mean, I won't even eat it, like unless I know that I don't have to be anywhere.
What about like pork or even seafood like crabs or lobster or shrimp or whatever or
I
fish?
don't, yeah, I'll eat fish and I'm okay with fish. I do not like crabs, lobster, or shrimp. I don't like I really don't like the texture, but I will eat fish. I don't really notice it. I eat clams just because like the iron content is really high. Um,
Hmm.
do oysters just because the iron content is really high. I don't really notice that because I usually will pair it with, a huge salad, avocado. It'll be beets, carrots, radishes, avocado, dandelion greens. What are the broccoli sprouts?
Right.
Just any vegetable that that you can get up in there. I'll pair it with that. And then if I do have a carb with that, I'll eat like a burro banana. Those are organic. That is a carb. I really try to stay away from carbs just because of the sugar. Um, and I notice, oh, when I eat the burro bananas, you smell well. You smell nice.
Will you eat a bowl of bananas?
No, our burro. It's Burro, burro banana.
Beetle.
It's it's from the Caribbean. They're kind of
B-U-R-O. Banana.
Burro.
Oh, these are like the smaller size
Nope, they're
bananas?
not. They're not really that small. They're smaller than an actual banana, but they're bigger than the small bananas.
Mm-hmm.
And they're kind of shaped like an maybe like a triangle or something like that, like the whole long shape of them.
Yeah, I have those types of bananas at my house. I have that type of banana tree at my house. That's very interesting. I just thought I didn't know there was like a different type of banana. I just thought mine was just like was a terrible version. Like it was like a defective banana because it doesn't look like a normal banana, but it's actually a different type of banana. That's very interesting.
Yeah,
Um,
they're very nutritious. They to me, you won't think you're getting tons of nutrition. They're not like a plantain or something, you know what I mean? But if you need that carb or if you need that sugar, I think they might be not too high in sugar, but I'm telling you, I've eaten them over time. They make you smell good, you know?
mm,
And also like I would use jaltia. It's also like from the Caribbean.
okay.
Um, and that makes you smell good as well, but you don't want all those carbs, you know?
So you also feel that carbs make you smell worse.
Yeah, but you know what? These are natural ones, and I would notice too. I don't know if people are worried about this type of thing. My stomach would be flatter, because like I said, if I'm eating bad, my stomach will, kind of puff up. And I would notice when I would eat those, it was almost as if they would just go through my body and just kind of scrub things out, you know.
Hmm.
And also,
I do have.
okra is really good. I don't fry it; I just saute it in like grapeseed oil. I don't use canola, and I don't use vegetable oil.
All right, because I think okra has choline in it too,
I
doesn't it?
still eat it because we need it. You know, you need it. It's vital.
And you said okra oil or just okra in itself?
Okra, and I saute it in grapeseed oil.
Because the thing is, I know with TMAU, people with TMAU, like seafood is a no-no, but you said that you still eat fish and you eat clams for the iron. So maybe it is something completely different, but something
What's
similar to TMAU. Uh,
SIBO?
SIBO doesn't necessarily have to do with odor in itself, because I know it just has to do with like just digestive issues if you have SIBO. Um, but I don't know. I don't know. That's the thing. It's like there's very little information. The only one that's recognized is TMAL. But there
Yeah.
is some questions, just I think one or two questions in the chat. And Damn Dan asked you, asked her is does she smell more when she doesn't take a number two?
I'm regular just because I eat a lot of vegetables and stuff. But I do notice, like I said, when I do that, the two tea bags of the triple leaf super slimming tea, it's if it's not completely gone, it is significantly diminished.
Hmm. Another question from Scorpion Tiger, and she basically asked, "Has anyone had success with oregano tea?"
Um, you know what? I tried Par de Coeur tea. It's like an antifungal or something, I think it is. And I really didn't have any luck with that. I haven't tried oregano tea at all, but I do eat oregano.
Hmm. Yeah, there's just so many different supplements out there. That's crazy. And you've been mentioning so many different. Yeah, you've been mentioning so many different things that you try, from liver cleanses to different types of teas to different types of probiotics that you eat. I mean, it sounds like your journey was very expensive to learn about all these things.
Well, I was working at the time, when I did it, and it was kind of expensive, but I've noticed that the natural route is better for me.
Hmm.
Um, because I do remember one time, I remember I was taking a lot of vitamins, and this was maybe about a couple months ago, or a month ago, and I noticed like, damn, I do not smell, because I'm like looking, because I can smell myself, and I just was like, wow, I don't have a smell. Um, just damn, I was just like, wow, this is fucking awesome. But you don't want to stay on, vitamins too long. You want to take breaks and stuff. You don't want to, eat too many supplements, all the
Yeah,
time.
take any synthetic supplements to enrich your body.
Right.
Yeah. Another question is from. Oh, okay. Well, we already covered that. She does still eats meat. So that's she already answered that before. So my thing is, it's funny with you. It seems like you have more of a, I don't want to say an upbeat personality or upbeat attitude with this issue, but I know like with a lot of people, you have such a certain perspective that's like, I don't know, I don't give a shit, which is a good personality. I'm not saying it's a bad perspective, but I
I'm
know
just
a lot of people like,
uninhibited.
oh,
Yeah.
this is very traumatic and it's troubling. But it seems like when I'm having conversations with you, you don't really have that energy. You don't really have that perspective. Like, oh, this is not bringing me down. This is not stopping me from living life.
Why would I?
I don't know. I
I mean,
mean,
you see people who are handicapped. They're still living there. I mean, you see people without legs. You see people sometimes like without sight. You see people without arms. You know what I mean? And you're like, wow, should they be down? These people are still out living their life. I go to the beach. I see them at the beach. I see them everywhere. Why should we hide just because it's a smell? You know what I mean? Like, not saying that this is what it should be. I mean, people could see them and be like, oh my God, you look, you're so offensive to me. And it's just like, God, every fucking body is different. Who am I going to fucking please? Everybody or me? You know what I'm saying?
mhm.
My life, mine. I got one to live. Like I said before, who's paying my fucking rent? Not them. Who's paying my fucking car insurance? Nobody. Who's buying any of my food? Not one goddamn person out there. I'm doing all of this shit and my husband. And we have children. I take them to games. I take them to tennis, basketball, swim practice. I'm going to live my fucking life. And you're not going to fucking stop me. That's how I see it. And if you do try to fucking stop me, I'd like to see you try.
I'm glad you actually brought your children. I don't know if we said this off camera or on camera, but you said most of your children cannot smell you, but your youngest one says that you do smell. So do you
Correct.
feel like your youngest one is just being honest, or just does he just have a better sense of smell compared to everybody else?
Um, he has a better sense of smell probably, and my son has my personality, so he's gonna say it. He's gonna tell the truth.
Okay, because it's like, I mean, I don't know. It's like I did want to ask. Well, I'll just say it because I know, like I was saying before, a lot of people are depressed and stuff, and they feel like, man, I don't really have too much of a life to live and stuff like that. And I was thinking to myself, if you knew that, if you knew for a fact that you are going to pass this thing on to your kids, would you have kids? I think I asked this question for Carol Williams, and I think I should ask that question for many people who have kids. What would your answer be for that?
I mean, if before, when I knew, if I would have known what it was, I don't know. I have children. I love my kids. My husband loves our children as well. Their lives are wonderful. They're smart. They stay involved. They're active. They're in sports. They have 4.0 averages. My one son, he just got a 4.0. He passed his college readiness test.
Oh,
He's going to
cool.
be he's going to be in advanced classes when he goes to high school. My other one he's in fourth. He's reading at a sixth grade level. They're really smart kids, and it's like, would I not have them? And I have my two other kids, and they're doing great as well. I mean, my one son, he has two jobs because he didn't want to go to college. That's his choice. And he does his rap thing. Um, and he lives his life. My daughter, she goes to college and she's living her life and she works. I mean, what I mean? I have great kids. And if they did have it, I think I would help them manage it.
Hmm.
I wouldn't just be like, oh no, I'm going to deprive myself and I'm not going to give them life just because they could suffer. Like I said, how many other people have freaking handicaps and people still have kids with handicaps? Look at the Down syndrome people. Look at people, with MS and there's all types of facilities to deal with these people who have these issues.
Yeah, and actually, I think you like hit a really interesting point because I don't think there's like really that many facilities out there that handle TMAU in general. Do you think in the future there is going to be any?
No,
Like,
no,
what was the answer?
no. And
Oh,
my question, I have a question for you. Do you think it's like a lot of African American people, black people? Because I really don't see too many white people except for the people in the UK that have this.
yeah, that that question is very interesting. I don't know what to make of it. Because I do know like there's people in the Philippines, there's people in the UK, there's people in other in Asian some in Eastern Asian countries. Um, I do know that like the majority of people that probably did the interviews were black, and if they weren't black, they might have some blackness in them. Maybe it has to do with like my theory. I think I talked about this a little bit like on the second interview. My theory was like just like black people are more prone to having a sickle cell anemia.
Hmm.
Maybe that's the same way with this condition. We're more prone to have this because it's just in our genetics, as opposed to like people of European ancestry or or Asian ancestry. Maybe just Afri people with African ancestry have this genetic defective genetic thing within us more than others. Doesn't mean others can't have it. It just means we just have it more than others. That's how I see it, but I can't prove it. I'm not a doctor at all. But it
Right.
is very fascinating. Actually, now that you mention it,
Can I say this really quick? Like you were saying, people in the Philippines and Asian people, whatever. Like a lot of black people are lactose intolerant, and a lot of Asian people are lactose intolerant as well. Um, you know what I mean? There's a connection.
mhm.
I don't know. You know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because I don't think there was too many like I don't think in Africa we really drink milk like that. I don't
No,
think that
there's a
way.
there's a tribe that mixes it with blood, but they're a tribe, so we're not talking about the people in cities.
Right, right. So yeah, so we didn't adapt to just drinking milk like Europeans have over the course of generations. So I guess that's why we have a lot of like lactose intolerance and stuff like that. And I don't think we even ate wheat. I don't think there was
No,
wheat grown in Africa. I don't know.
no, there definitely weren't pesticides.
Hmm. So I don't know. It's very interesting. And like I was going to say is there are some YouTube videos about TMAU conferences, and they do show that there's a disproportionate amount of people who have this are black women. It's like a TMAU conference. If you look up like TMAU conference, I don't know, 2012. I know they had one in 2017. I watched that, and they pretty much like cover that. They actually show data of this. Most of the people who have this are in fact women, and in terms of race, it's black women more so than many other groups. So
And then,
it's
then can
very.
I say this? And can I say, and then from there, this is why we will not be eligible for disability.
Why you say that?
Because I feel like if this was something that was infecting the white community, they'd be all over it. Like, they have tons of, you know, um, setups for charities and all types of things for all of their genetic disorders that we've never heard of, but are just very prevalent in their communities. And you can get disability for this, oh, because you have this, or because you have that, and they get it. If it was predominantly a white thing, they would get the help. And I feel that just because it's the way that the government is, and we know that it's not for us, really, I feel that if it was affecting them more, there would be more help out there.
Maybe because it's like um, it's another thing about it is you're touching on something very interesting. Is like I don't understand. I'm really trying to figure out how certain diseases get into like the CDC or gets registered as a disability. I don't know if the CDC is the one that registers disabilities. I'm not sure. I'm completely not knowledgeable about it, but I am very curious as to how the process is. And I do think that money is a major factor. Like if we have just large amounts of money that just pushes this thing across across like this whatever this institution that registers whether something is a disability or not, maybe we would actually get something done. But at this moment, I don't think there's too many people that talk about it, or I don't think anybody at the moment knows how to do orchestrate any of that shit. So
But it's been out since the 70s, right? Like, wasn't the
yeah,
first? Yeah, and it's just like already, like nothing already, like nothing. 70s, you got nothing. You know what I mean? It's like, come on already. You know that it's here. You know that it exists because you're doing fucking conferences on it. Why isn't there more help? Why, you know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
no one likes someone that really smells, even if you are telling people what you have. They're still going to have an aversion to you, maybe at some point, or they might be adult enough just to deal with it. But I mean, it's a difficult thing to work with for some people. Yes. And people who care. And then there's a lot of doctors who think you're lying. Oh, I can't smell anything. But,
Right.
well, then hello, then, hey, classified as something psychiatric. Where's my fucking check? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, exactly. That's exactly the point. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
even if we were crazy, like okay, then the classic well, it is. There's a name called olfactory reference syndrome where they say that, people who think that they smell bad. But I don't think it's registered as a disability at
Well,
all.
I mean, it was a psychiatric disorder because it's not true. To them, they feel that we aren't sane because, oh my God, she's making something up. No, I'm not fucking making something up. It's a reality.
Yeah, yeah. And also there's a lot of things to say about that. Like, I think a lot of reasons why I've I have a lot of theories about this shit. I
Me
have a lot
too.
of I think one of the theories is like, okay, if you really look into team out testing, if you go to the Monell Center or they do team out testing, I was actually conversing with a guy who was telling me how to get team out testing, and he was telling me that it costs like about $700 to get testing. So there's that first thing is that financial barrier. Nobody's going to spend $700 to do some type of testing kit,
And
especially
why won't and
even if
why won't insurance cover it? Because they would for any other issue.
yeah, but a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't have it, and I don't even know what's the statistics for people who actually have insurance in general. But I think a lot of people don't have that, and that's one barrier. And even if you do get it waived or you reduce it, it's still gonna like. What's the point of doing all that if I don't really get anything out of it? Okay, I get
Exactly.
claimed that I have TMAU, so what? Like there's no like I gain something out of it. I get some type of not award, but some type of thing that will relieve my condition. Like there's nothing about just getting the test. There's no point in it. So I think that's the reason why a lot of people are undiagnosed, and that's why most people don't really think it's as big as it is. But maybe it is really big, and
Yeah,
just
they're
don't
keeping
know anything about it.
they're keeping us in a box. You know what I mean? It's like, what are you going to do? Because you're put in a box, and then when you go to doctors, they just don't believe you. And I'm just going to stand by this and say, I feel that if it was affecting white women's fertility, they'd be on it. And if it was affecting men's dicks, they'd be on it. Because I mean, they make clinics for people. Oh, you can't have a kid. Let's do this. Let's do that. We'll do everything in our fucking power to pop a baby out of you. Oh, your dick's not working correctly. Let us do a study and make you a pill. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? But hey, you got TMAU. We don't really care. We don't care. It's mostly affecting Black women, so it's going to be a hard no for them. That's what I feel.
Yeah, and at the same time too, like with female compared to there's certain diseases that are very like 0.01% have it, but they're very serious diseases, like debilitating diseases. You can die from it. But with female, even if there's like a larger amount of people who have this disorder compared to these debilitating diseases, like okay, you smell bad. Like they're not gonna really see it as it being so severe as someone who has a debilitating disease.
Well,
Like
they better start doing studies. I mean, there's somebody with, bipolar. Oh my God. There's so many people that have bipolar. You know what I mean? Um, Most people can't work with it if it's really severe and they're on all these medications. You know what I mean? Because nobody at their job wants to be around them. Guess what? Nobody at our fucking jobs wants to be around us either. So what the hell? Make it work. Make it happen. Do
yeah,
something.
yeah, it is a barrier. It is a barrier. I don't know how to get to it, unfortunately.
You gotta be more vocal. You know what I mean? I don't know who would bring it up to a forefront. I mean, you're doing conferences on it. Just like they do conferences on melanin, but certain people just aren't invited to that. They know
Mhm.
these things are out. You know what I mean? They know, and I had this theory like before you called. I was just kind of thinking. I'm not crazy, but I'm thinking over here. I was like, what if there's like some type of mad scientist, that's running around just infecting people across the world, and they think it's a joke, and we're going to connect it to melanin, and this is what it's going to do in certain people, and haha, because they can engineer certain things, biochemists and whatnot,
Right.
and engineer certain things and do certain things to people like they have did with diseases in this world, to attack certain people or put out certain drugs, that get certain people with melanin hooked more than others because it attaches to their melanin. We're not stupid over here and we're not oblivious either. These things could happen, but the fact that if you're doing conferences on it, it's a fucking thing, then why aren't you fixing it? Why are you just like, oh, we see it, we're just going to watch it?
Yeah, for the Monell Center, they really don't have any money. They is a
I mean,
very small group.
like I said, if it was affecting white women's fertility and men's dicks, believe me, it would be an issue.
Hmm. I do want to say this. Damn, you said something about the melanin thing. There was something I wanted to say about that. Uh, Jesus Christ, I forgot.
We were talking about how certain chemicals or certain diseases like is attracted or attaches to your melanin.
Oh yeah. Oh, I was gonna say about that theory. Yeah, I know a lot of people have this theory that it might be like government, or it might be something in the water, it might be this, that, the third. And I used to think like that too. I think overall, where my head's at is I just think there's just it's just a defective gene. I think it's a defective gene in all of us. From anything with people who have bad breath. I just recently saw this article that was talking about people who have chronic halitosis just have a defective gene that causes them to smell, causes them to have just bad breath. And no matter if they brush their teeth or do whatever, they're always going to have bad breath. And I feel like that's the same way with people who have TMAU or something similar to us.
Oh,
like we just have some type of defective gene. And whether that was because of, I don't know, they put some chemicals in the food or water. I don't know. I think sometimes people are just born with some type of defective gene, and ultimately,
I feel like this. If you're doing conferences and it's a defective gene, fucking fix it.
Yeah.
Throw some money at it. You throw money at you have money to go over there. You have trillions of dollars to start or to start wars. If you have trillions of dollars to start a fucking war, start taking care of your own backyard before you're over there throwing trillions of dollars over here. Give us $1 billion. You know what I mean? Help us out over here.
$1 billion.
I mean, really, enrich our fucking lives over here. You know what I mean? You're going over there starting wars to make money. Throw $1 billion over here. Help us out so we can fucking work. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, there's another question from the chat, and Scorpion Tiger asked you, have you been to the doctors about this and did they smell it? I want to ask you about that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yep. And everybody's like, no, I don't smell anything. And so my next doctor's appointment, I'm going to wake up early. I'm going to take a shower. I'm going to give it like 3 hours. And then I'm going to ask her, what do you smell? Because my new, I went in just for the orientation thingy. And, I told her that this is what I have. And I mean, she's awesome. She actually sent me information on everything that it could be. I mean, so I'm sticking with her, I go into the actual physical. I'm like, wow, you know what I mean? No one has ever did this. So I got to stay with you. They always say they can't smell anything. She got right up on me and she was like, I don't smell anything. But like I said, I washed up before I went and I got a good 2 hours before, things start to get ugh.
Okay. That's interesting. Yeah. Oh, I did also want to ask you, since we were talking about a lot of things with diet, and you say like sugary fruits you can't really deal with. And you were talking about the different meats that you eat, but you can't eat processed meat. You were talking about, you talked about like just the different types of foods that you eat. I did want to talk about like grains a little bit because I'm curious how people feel about grains. How do you feel about grains? Do you feel like rice makes you? What is there any grains that you feel like doesn't make you smell bad or anything like that?
There's some, you know what I mean? That's kind of iffy because like with like if I eat white rice, I was noticing that when I was eating a certain white rice that it would swell my face up, like the left side of my face. And I remember going to the doctors, like my face, look at my face. You can see my face. Oh, we don't notice anything. And I'm just like, I even have like a hair growing out of my ear. Like it was a gray hair. And they're just like, how do you see that? And it's like, because I'm looking, you know what I mean? And I just feel sometimes that they're watching you, and I just couldn't figure it out. Then I started to stop eating rice. I noticed my face went down. But you know what? I don't necessarily think that it's rice that makes me. Sometimes I used to think that maybe it took odor away, but then I stopped the grains. I would eat quinoa. I would eat amaranth. But I mean, and they make you feel awesome just because they're chock with nutrients. But I don't think they're for me.
Mm,
I just don't feel that those things are for me. Because like I said, like if like my face, like if I was eating rice, because I'm not doing that anymore. Because who wants the left side of their face swelling or swollen? I don't want to look like the elephant man. But like if my face is swollen and I happen to eat like some jalthea or I eat like a burro banana, and by the way, I just boil those. If I eat that, the next day you will see a considerable deduction in my face and my sides. Like I said, I think it's just going in there, putting natural probiotics in there and scrubbing stuff out. And that would be, I really don't mess with grains. I don't really trust them. And I
right.
would and I would notice like if I eat them, my stomach would hurt, you know?
Mm,
And it's like why, and same thing with milk, like, I feel like I'm gonna throw up. Like my spit gets slimy and it's like, ugh, like why am I,
mm,
why would I even eat some fucking cereal with wheat and milk? Ugh, you know?
mm. Yeah, maybe. I mean, yeah, because with me, it's like, um, since I was really looking into like gluten and stuff, people say that rice, at least they say that there's no gluten in rice and stuff
Yes,
like
there
that.
is. I
So now
think
I'm
there
like,
is.
and I just found out recently, like, quinoa and amaranth are not actually grains. They're actually from some type of other vegetable. They're not technically grains. They're called pseudo grains because it's somewhat similar to a grain, but they're not. Um, so I find those interesting, and maybe that's I'm trying to figure out if that quinoa is like maybe a better substitute than rice. And I do want to know how people feel about rice and how it affects them. But for you, you start to notice that you get like negative side effects when you eat it.
Yeah, but if I eat the long grain rice, but if I eat the basanti, I'm okay. But that stinks. You know what I mean? That it just smells up your house. Like if you're making that, it really stinks, and it's expensive.
Hmm. Now, I do want to ask you, like, okay, let's say there's somebody who's watching this and they can identify with most of what you're saying. What would be like the top five products that you recommend to reduce your odor, or products or methods?
Methods, I would say, stay away from processed everything. That includes supermarket meats. Don't eat any breads. Stay away from sugar in almost every form. If you're going to eat fruits, do berries, blueberries, blackberries, raspberries. I don't eat strawberries. Um, I would, stay away from processed meats, cut out sugar, drink tons of water, um, eat your greens, and exercise.
Okay. Okay. And I do also like to talk about the future. I always like to think like 5 years from now, where do you think you'll be in your life? Maybe a best case scenario, worst case scenario. You said you were 43 at the time, at the moment, like at the age of 47. Best case scenario, where do you think your life will be? Like, how successful will you be? Or in worst case scenario, maybe if you want to consider that, what do you think your life will be 5 years from now if you can't
Um,
reach the
my
goal
five,
for best case scenario?
my 5 years, my kids. I'm still gonna be because I'm there for my kids 100% right now. I'm not working, so I just want to give my kids the best life they can have. I want to enrich their lives to the fullest. I don't want them to miss out on any opportunity. So graduate them, to whatever level they need to be, and just be a great mom to them, and be a great wife. To my husband, we've been together for 22 years. Uh,
Mm.
yeah, and just live my life. I've just been really blessed to have someone to love me, and not smell me. And he's a very traditional person. He's not from this country, and I mean, he believes in taking care of his woman, his wife, and I will be taken care of regardless. But I do plan on, looking into some work online just that I can do from home since I'll just have so much time. I could probably do a large amount of time and, make more money. But if I don't do that, I will go back to work once I get my kids situated and I will work.
Okay. Mm. Yeah, because I do want to respond to that a little bit because I honestly feel like with people like us, I think the internet is like is the most I don't want to say the most important, but I think it's like we're destined to make money online. Whether we do some type of side business or some type of side hustle, I think that is destiny for us. Especially if people have it really rough and they really just don't want to be around people. I think it's really important to try to look for different ways to make money online. Whether I don't know. Even with like YouTube, if you look into YouTube, like I've been on YouTube for a very long time, so I see a lot of channels who have like hundreds of thousands of
Like
subscribers,
Jay
millions of
Brown. Have you
subscribers,
seen
and
Jay
they just
Brown?
have like a very niche audience or a very niche topic, and it's somewhat surprising that they're getting so much audience or getting so much views for something very niche and unusual. Um, like for example, I know that I just recently, a couple of weeks ago, I watched this this channel where all he does is he just goes, he just walks through Japan late at night with his GoPro camera for an hour, and that thing gets like a million views. And for a lot of people think that's weird, but it's like the experience that you get to see. It's like almost as if you're going through Japan, and it is a very relaxing experience. So I can understand like why people like it so much, and it's just so unusual that most people wouldn't even consider that. So it's like there's so many different ways to try to generate money online, and I think for people like us, especially if some people feel like they're having a hard time to even be in the public, maybe it is destined for us to try to just do something online and make money that way. I don't know.
And also in the process, build your self confidence up. I mean, when you were talking about the people you see about the money making, I've been watching Jay Brown, and I'm a really good writer, but I have associates in accounting. Because I did go to school for that. Didn't give a fuck what anybody thought. I'm my associates, but I don't know if I want to go back to school just because it's so daunting and it's annoying.
Right.
But I'm a really good writer, and I was seeing things how you can write online for you can make up to like depending on what your writing skills are, $600 to $800 a day. If you have that time. But they're going after people probably who work. And Jay Brown, he has his channel. I subscribe to it, and I see a lot of little things that he puts up, and I was like, you know what? Why not? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I have time. So I'm gonna try these things, and I mean, you can even do like transcripts at home, work from home and stuff like that as well. If you don't want to, deal with the hassle of getting up, getting dressed, getting lunch, driving, and all of that, you know what I mean? Because a lot of people hate that too, and it's not even because they stink.
Right. Right.
you
People
know?
just don't like to get up and I know the commute is so annoying. I used to have to work. I had to drive an hour and back, and some people have even
Oh,
harder than that. So commuting is really annoying, and parking, and if you're in a major city, parking is really annoying, and then you have to pay for parking as well. It is really annoying. So
tell
yeah,
me.
people are looking for other ways to make money as opposed to just do the normal route. I did want to ask you, is it okay to give out your email?
Yeah, it's fine.
And I do want to say we're winding down here. So if anybody in the chat has any final comments or questions to ask Tanisha, this is the time to ask them. And while some people might be writing these questions, let me ask you this, Tanisha. So let's say there's someone who has similar condition like you, and they identify with everything you're saying. What type of insight or final thoughts that you can give to them that might, I don't know, um, possibly help them throughout their life?
Live your best life. I mean, stop giving a damn what people think and what they feel. Like what do you think and what do you feel? How do you want your life to be? How do you want to be happy? Do you always want to be sitting there, oh my God, what do they think? What do they feel? Why don't you just kind of turn that, inward? What do you think? What do you feel? What would you like to do? What makes you happy? Do that. Live your life. That's just, live your life. Stop giving a damn what people think and feel.
Okay. Okay. Well, I don't really see anybody writing any comments or any questions, final comments. So yeah, we'll wind down here. I appreciate Tanisha Cofton. Oh, okay. There are some comments. Okay. What can you do if you have a poop odor? I don't know if she will be able to answer that.
Get it out of you. Eat healthy. You want to stay regular. You want to get lots of vegetables. You want to drink a lot of water, like almost a gallon of spring water a day. Whatever kind you want. You just want to, Crystal Geyser. I don't know if that's a good one. Whatever you're comfortable with. You want to drink a gallon of water a day. You want to eat at least 4 cups, or 4 to 8 cups of leafy greens. You want to have a huge salad. You want to incorporate every healthy vegetable there is in it. You don't want anything in a can. You want everything fresh, and try organic. You want to do that as well. You can incorporate dandelion greens. You can do kale. You can do Swiss chard. You can do all of it. You can do romaine. You can do spinach. Watercress, cilantro, parsley. Those are natural deodorizers as well. Because you want to get, oh, and like I said, the burro bananas and the jautilla, they also reduce smell as well, because they kind of bulk up your stool, and it's, kind of scrubbing out your intestines.
Mm. I do got another question from Rika YouTube. I think it's pretty much the same thing. Yeah, it's like, what works best for her with TMAU?
Just all the, cutting out all the food, all my trigger foods, all of, just like the grocery store meats, anything in a bottle, in a can, and you know what I mean? Um, you want to eat as natural as possible. You want to eat pesticide free. You want to eat steroid free. You want to eat hormone free. You don't want to use, perfumes make sometimes, like, only if I'm doing well with my life, and well with my diet, can I wear a perfume. If I'm not, perfume smells odd, and not a good way, on me.
Mm.
My body is so polluted, but if I'm eating good, and stuff like that, wow, I do better.
Okay. And another question from Harden54 is, what reactions do you get from people, and why don't you work now?
My last job, it was like my boss. She was getting mad because, men were talking to me, and they were talking to her really stupid. And it was just like, I talked to the supervisor, and they let her go. And I just felt like, you know what, my time could be better spent with my family. You know what I mean? Because
Mm.
I hate those type of incidences and no type of politics. So I'm not working just because, it was just a little bit of a hassle. I was away from my kids a lot. And they were, the last couple ones are still kind of young, and I want to be around more for them.
Hmm.
I don't remember the rest of the question. Was there a second part?
Oh, yeah. All it was what reactions do you get from people, and why don't you work now?
People will rub their noses. People will look like kind of stunned. I've even, like, when I didn't know, I remember I went to the post office. This is hilarious because I don't give a fuck. But I was in the post office, and I was in line, and you know how sometimes, like, this is kind of a couple years. Well, no, it was maybe a decade ago. Yeah, maybe longer. And there were these people in front of me, and I kind of stood in line. I'm just over here, and I remember a lady, like, it was winter, and she put her scarf up to her nose. And then she was like, and she took it down. And she's like, I'm glad we all smell good. And it was just like,
Mm.
bitch, guess what though? I ain't bothered. I'm gonna still get my fucking package. You're the one that looks uncomfortable. And it was rude to fucking say that. So you gotta have to suffer now.
Mm.
You know
That's
what I
fucked
mean?
up.
Yeah, right. I was like, you fucking bitch, but I'm not fat. But you know, and then too, like, I'll get, like, certain women when they, let's just say they were feeling threatened. They would wait until someone would come. They would be my friend, like, just me and them. Oh, we're cool. We have great conversations. You're coming to my house. We're working out together. Um,
Mm.
you're calling me after work, and we talk all the time. But as soon as a man comes and would, oh my God, you talk to her, you like her, I'm not the center of attention. That's when, oh my God, I'm going home to take a bath, or oh my God, what is that smell? And that type of thing. And, rubbing
Mm.
your noses. I remember I was volunteering before I even knew. I was volunteering at my son's class, and this was maybe, he's 13. So he was 8 years old, and there was a little Asian boy, and, like, he looked at me, and he, like, pinched his nose, like, ew,
Mm.
like, stink. And I've had people just, like, put their hands, like, over their noses and just kind of plug their noses, or step back, or, just the constant, the sniffing constantly, and it's just like, hey, I stink, right? So why the fuck do you keep sniffing it in? Like, you're a fucking retard. What's wrong with
Mm.
you? If you don't like it, why you want to keep smelling it?
Right.
So I've had those reactions. Or, like I said, if it's females, they'll be fine with me. But as soon as someone would pop up, oh, that's when you have a problem.
Mm.
But I've never had a man say anything. Maybe they're afraid. I don't, but like I said, I get along with men better in the workplace and,
Hmm. Well, I think I don't know if this is going to be the final question, but there is one more question. I don't know if how she's going to answer this one. Dan asks, when I eat vegetables, it takes me a long time to go to the bathroom. Do you know why?
are you drinking enough water?
Yeah, that might be possible. Yeah, if you don't have enough water. And I think like insoluble fiber is like something that makes your stools go down a little bit faster because I don't know, like they should hold their breath. Oh, yeah. But I guess her answer is, do you drink water, enough water? But other than that, that's like the final question.
He
Um,
should be he should be drinking like a gallon, start off with like a gallon of water. That's what you should be drinking. Start off with a half a gallon, but he should be drinking a gallon of water a day just to kind of keep things moving and pushing it out.
well, I guess there is another question from Harden54, and he asks, do people ever yawn around you?
You know what? No, but I remember a while ago, people used to always sneeze and like just sneeze and just they were always like rubbing their eyes and their nose and they would always sneeze and I'm like, what the fuck?
Wow.
Yeah, but that doesn't happen anymore. I was thinking maybe it was like a maybe mold growing in me or something. I don't know, and maybe like with me switching up my diet, to more vegetables and stuff like that, maybe it kind of decreased it, or something like that. But I did notice that a lot. People would always sneeze around me, like, what the fuck? I was like, am I making people allergic?
Right. Yeah, it sort of sounds like you have like that PATM stuff. I know when people have PATM, they get reactions where people are just sneezing or they have watery eyes, or some people say they make people itch and stuff like that. So that sounds like something out of like PATM symptoms that
That
people.
doesn't happen anymore, though. That's done with.
Yeah, so I don't know what happened with that, but that's very interesting. Um, but I guess we're done with all the questions. Again, I appreciate Tanisha for stepping in and giving us her story. This is Friday night, TMAU interview number 12, and we are out. See you guys later.